arm throw is an arm spin. Arm spin can come from two basic positions. One is from this type of position here. If my opponent has a collar tie on me, you can do an arm spin from this position. My preference, though, is from this position for the most part. I prefer while we're pummeling, actually. Okay, but you can do it from either position. I think this position, I don't feel like I have got the grip quite as tight. I like this grip better on this particular technique. But in any case, as we're pummeling here, one of the times, instead of coming back step, when we had talked about preparing an arm throw from the over and under position while we're pummeling. Now instead of a back step here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this arm, my right arm through, kind of like the arm throw, but in this instance, I'm not going to put my shoulder to this portion of his shoulder here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up like this. Okay? Now, simultaneously, this knee is going to come up. I've got to pivot and rotate rapidly on this technique. I can do that best, or I can pivot best on one foot. So what I want to do from here is I'm going to step in close at the same time. And you'll notice on this technique too, instead of step on arm and the arm that goes through and the foot that's stepping are not the same. It's opposite. Okay, I'm going to step here. Okay, this foot here that's attacking is going to be, or preparing the throw, is the opposite of the arm that's coming through. My right arm's coming through, my left leg is coming forward first to prepare for that. I'm going to step, and then I'm going to bring this arm through, and this knee comes up like this. Notice this knee comes up very high. Just want to get that notion down first. From here, from up here, up. Okay. It looks awkward at first, and you got to practice it that way. It is very difficult for me to come through here and just to kind of toggle around. I've got to do this quickly, and I can do this quickly by going on one foot, and you'll notice if this foot is pointed in that direction, it's got to be pointed the opposite direction when I finish. So I'm going to come here, up. I'm walking over, I step, this comes through. Part of the power I get is to pull up to get a little space so I can get my shoulder under. This leg comes up and the arm comes up and I come off this heel. Up, and then I'm going to pivot. Here. Up. You'll notice I take a very big rotation on the ball of my foot. Putting that together from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step to this position. Okay, kind of turn around. Notice where I have my feet are close together. This is tight. I want my arm out like this. I want to pinch his arm or his shoulder with my deltoid like this. Not like this. Right now I don't have much pressure. I want to come down here. Now from here I'm going to throw my arm through his legs and he's going to go with that. Looks like I'm going to throw it to Colby. From here. From here. I want you to notice something. Come around here. On this type of an attack, where is my shoulder relative to Colby's? My shoulder is not on top like I like it to be. Okay, right now I'm potentially more vulnerable if he can get past that arm. So it's crucial, one, I keep this arm. Two, it's crucial that I can hip heist and get the shoulder on top. This is done fairly rapidly, and it's a fairly dynamic and pretty powerful throw. So when you throw somebody, you will have a moment to be able to adjust. But you do have to be conscious of your position. Again, my shoulder is on the mat. His shoulder is slightly on top of mine because I popped my shoulder all the way through on this arm spin, whereas my shoulder is kind of in front on the arm throw. Okay, so that's a crucial distinction. Remember, on the arm throw, my shoulder hits here, so when we end up on the ground, just come to the ground, Colby. My shoulder is on top of his shoulder. Conversely, with the arm spin, I want you to notice how my shoulder went all the way through. It's not over here, it's here. So when I come through now, I'm just going to throw this, and I torque my body along the axis of my spine here. Immediately, I latch down. I'm not going to give him anything to purchase here. I'm holding this very tight. Turn into me, Colby. I'm going to keep my head here tight. Do I want to come towards his legs? No. I want to keep cranking this out here and coming towards his head. Let me show a little bit about the bottom position here on this, which is crucial. Again, this is potentially somewhat vulnerable because, again, my shoulder is below him here. At least it is in, I think, more of the submission kind of arts, not so much in freestyle wrestling. That's not a big deal. But from here, watch what I'm doing with this arm. I keep this in tight. From here. Now, what am I doing with my head? My head is pushing in hard. Okay, I want to be off my butt here, like this. And I want to keep inching this way. I want to bring my feet this way. Okay, turn into me, Colby. I push my head, turn away. That's typically what I'm going to want to hit place. Okay? And come to the side. One thing to notice on this technique, I believe that if his hips are out a little bit more, my preference is typically going to go to an arm throw. If he's more upright, that's going to make it a little bit easier for the arm spin. Just a little subtlety in terms of position. If he's more upright, a little easier to do the arm spin. If his hips are further away or slightly further away, typically a little easier to do the more traditional back step to the arm throw. Remember, when you go through on this technique, this is crucial. When I come up and I rotate, I step, of course, close to his foot. I can't step far away. I step pretty close to his foot. I make a very tight circle. I bring this knee up, the arm up to the ceiling. I look up, and I spin around. Now, from here, I want you to know to spin around, Colby. Remember, this is tight here. This is forward, so I'm pinching his shoulder between my ear and this deltoid, which is going to make it very tight. And then I'm going to throw it between his legs, and this leg too kind of comes through the leg almost. From here. That rotation is very powerful. It's like you load him up like a spring. Boom. And then he'll go. Also, notice the foot position. It's all one move. And you'll notice that on the throws. When I come through, I'm not going to step here and then readjust it. When I come through, from here, this is going to go all the way through. My foot goes through, and if you review the throws, I think you'll see that when I actually come through on the live throws here on the mat, this foot goes through all in one motion. So up, through, with my arm and with my leg. And it's so crucial to be pinning, not like this. I'm going to get more power or more grip on his shoulder here so that he's less likely to spin out if I'm up. Not here, here, and then it comes down as opposed to across and down. I want to come up and down. And if you do it that way, you'll find that it's very tight, a lot of friction, which will hold your opponent's arm until you can get him down to the mat. Finally, one thing to remember as you're practicing, the higher you get your knee up, the more successful you be. If I just get my knee up a little bit and try to kind of weasel through, that's much more difficult than if I'm in here and this knee comes up as high as I can get it up. So when I crank this knee up, it's not lackadaisically. I jam my arm up and my knee come up like I want to touch the ceiling with both. And you'll find you'll get much better rotation with the high knee up as opposed to just trying to power through with your arm and being kind of lazy with your knee and sort of cheat with an inadequate effort with your knee. The knee is crucial because watch what happens to this leg as this knee comes up. If I bring the knee up, it brings me up on the ball of my foot. That's crucial in terms of me being able to spin. So as I come up with the knee, I'm able to spin better, as opposed to just jamming through with my shoulder, keeping my knee down or not very aggressive in coming up, and I don't get on the ball of my foot very easily. It's harder for me to turn around. So the higher I get my knee, the easier I can rotate. Be aware, at least in the context of that throw, because it's very quick, you're not likely to get choked if you can continue to control his arm. And you keep this up here tight so you control the shoulder. If you're controlling his arm down here, controlling his shoulder here, you're not likely to get choked in the context of that move. It's a quick move. I think you're actually fairly safe once you develop some proficiency with it. Now, though, what happens if you slip off? You're wrestling a guy in the last of the match or grappling or fighting. Both of you are wet. Sometimes you slip off. And the defense to this type of move is just like with the other throws. If I come through, he pops his hip in. That makes it difficult, because that can neutralize my throw. If he can pop his hip in, come out to the front a little bit, lower his hip, and pull and straighten his arm here. Now, if he does that, when I'm coming through and I'm slipping off, I'm not going to stop and continue a losing battle here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off to a single leg takedown. Sometimes you'll get all the way down to your knees. So from here, now I might come all the way down to here, and I'm down here, and he's pulling out. I just transition here. Okay? So as soon as you feel the guy's beating you because he slid your shoulder down his arm, that's a losing battle at that point. Adjust to a single leg. So from here, Kobe blocks it out, and he's pulling up here. I stop, and I adjust. Same thing with an arm throw. If I've tried like an arm throw, especially the kind that I come down to my knees here, and he pulls up, I don't want to try going this way. What I want to try to do is continue the momentum and either come out to double or single. You know, naturally, I'm not in the greatest shape at that point once my initial attack has been defeated or neutralized. On the other hand, that's not a time to obsess. You need another plan, and you need to execute that plan very quickly. Generally speaking, if I come here and he defends that arm throw, he slipped down, we're slippery. I don't want to go this way, because I'm going in this direction, I want to continue. I got a double here, or if my position wasn't so good and I didn't get out my head to this side, I've got a single on this side. So it really doesn't matter whether it's arm spin or arm throw. You can still transition off to the legs if your opponent defends that initial attack or neutralizes your initial throwing motion. Again, if you do get that throw neutralized by somebody who's good and familiar with throws, or you had a sloppy throw, or for whatever reason you slipped off because you're both very slippery, when I get to this position here, it's crucial. Boom, I'm moving. Obviously, I don't want to stay here very long. I don't want to fight a losing battle by just trying to pop here, because Kobe's going to get both of his legs in, and he's going to destroy me here. So as soon as I feel that that throw has been defeated, I'm moving to double or to single. And it's just kind of whatever you can get. It's not, you shouldn't even have to like keep your eyes open. Just you feel there what your hand hits and what your arm hits and where your position is, and you go with it. Whether if it's double, that's what you go on that side. If it's single, you go on that side. But it's very crucial. If I'm here, I'm not gonna continue fighting. I've got to immediately transition because Colby here can pop his legs in, and I'm dead meat here. Again, if I've come down to this position and Colby has slid out a little bit, so I really don't have this throw. Notice, there's too much space. I'm not controlling this arm. I'm not controlling his shoulder very good anymore. Too much space in here. I don't want to fight a losing battle here. Immediately, I've got to come around to a single or double, whatever's open in that direction. That's crucial. I don't want to fight a losing battle by continuing to throw, because all Colby's got to do is put his legs in and pull me back. And I'm dead meat here. Game over. Sometimes, in a scramble situation, or if your opponent starts to defend against the arm spin, you have a front head and arm you can go to. Sometimes actually you can go to that directly if you choose, but my preference, if I'm going to do a throw, I'm actually trying for the throw. But you can actually go to this as a primary technique from the arm spin as opposed to actually throwing it through. You can come on top of the head. To come on top of the head, all I've got to do when I come up here like this, as I pinch down, I'm going to come this way now. I'm just going to bring them down like a typical head and arm. That is on a different DVD as far as, or different instructional as far as all the techniques that are involved in that. But just so you can see that there's another way of getting to it. So I'm here. I come up on spin here. I come around. Now notice, I could come through or bring here. Notice what I do. I'm going to push his elbow behind his head here as I'm coming down. I can just go into the normal 2-on-1 position, but my initial attack is to crank on the head down as I'm putting his elbow or his bicep over his head. Now sometimes in the arm spin as I'm coming through, like here, okay, he might be backing away or come out in front. At that point, I transition the head and arm, or front headlock. So if he defends, not by coming out in front, but by coming in the opposite way and spinning around the other way to get out in front. Remember, if I'm coming here, one way is for him to come in this direction here and to pop his hips up. The other way is to come this way and come out in front. Now, if he does that, I go to head and arm. So I'm coming here, he comes out in front, I just get the head and arm. Notice I go away, I circle away from his arm. Try to pull his arm behind his head.